Matt, who you got?
Well, first off, I just want to say there's a lot of question marks around South Carolina this season, and I want to put a pin in that because we're going to come back to it in our next segment. But for me, my very first thing, and I didn't care. I didn't think about it like Jesse did. I don't care if anybody gets annoyed with me. Most people are going to be annoyed with me anyway. The big thing, and I didn't put it strictly on one player, but instead I went kind of homerish and went Tennessee secondary. Tennessee is going to have a potent offense this season. The offensive side, I don't think a lot of people are worried. I think we can probably go. Um, and notice I said we. Those of you that were in the comments last week, I can say we.
They're still in the
Um,
comments. They're still
they're
commenting
and
on
they
that
can
video.
stay in the comments for all I care. I'm going to say we. Tennessee's offense is going to be very potent. The word I like to use is prolific. We know this. Tennessee's defensive line. This is probably the most talented defensive line unit that they've had at Tennessee since Josh Heupel took over. James Pierce is like number two or three top draft pick. There's talking maybe the number one draft pick going into next spring. Defensive line's going to be fine. Linebacker play is going to be good. The real question is what is the secondary going to look like, and I think that's what a lot of people have questions about. And Willie Martinez, the secondary coach for Tennessee, went to the well. He picked up a couple of different transfers. Jermod McCoy out of Oregon State, Jalen McMurray out of Temple, and Jacoby Thomas out of Middle Tennessee are a couple of names that have been added. There's a couple other guys. Ricky Gibson's still hanging around. And it's just so it's that's the part of the Tennessee team that we're not real sure what it's going to look like. And I think there's a lot of people that are very curious because I feel like if you could put points up, you got to get a couple stops. We saw it work a couple years ago in 22 when Tennessee won 10, 11 games, however many games it was that season. They put points up, and the defense got just enough stops to make it happen. And I really feel like the secondary is going to be, if you're going to pick a weak spot on the defense, it's probably going to be that. The other thing the other player I'm gonna pick that I feel, Wes, did you have a question?
Matt, not to rain on your parade, but you mentioned Willie Martinez, and do you recall which team he was the defensive coordinator for?
It was for Georgia for a
It
while,
was
right?
he was the defensive coordinator at Georgia in the late 2000s,
Yeah.
and he was probably my least favorite defensive coordinator. Because simply the simple fact that he did not believe in blitzing, it was crazy. It was like we're
Mhm.
like, look, we are not getting any pressure on the quarterback. We have to get pressure, and he just refused. Now I understand it's a little bit different being a secondaries coach, but that was my experience with Willie Martinez as a fan.
Right.
So.
Another name I meant to mention and forgot to mention is freshman Boo Carter, who's come on late, and he's made a lot of noise in fall camp. There's been a lot of talk with his name and Eric Berry's name in the same sentence. I don't know if we're really prepared to commit to that he's as good as Eric Berry, but there's been a lot. It's funny you mentioned that about Martinez because apparently he's good in the secondary, good in that coverage, but he also walks up a lot too. And he's pretty effective at stopping the run. So we'll see how that pans out. The other player that I really feel like, and this is a big one for me, I really feel that Quinn Ewers has got to have a solid season. A lot of people had good things to say about Quinn Ewers last season. He had a good season, but there's a part of the Texas offense that's kind of missing, and that's running back play. Just in the last couple of weeks, RB1, hold on, I lost the name. Where did it go? RB1, CJ Baxter went down to an injury, and
Yeah.
RB2, Jaden Blue, also went down to an injury, which just leaves sophomore Quintravian Weisner and two freshmen behind him at QB3, or sorry, RB3, RB4, RB5. And it's just, I'm wondering what that's going to look like because we know football in the SEC, you got to be multidimensional. You can't really get by just being able to throw the ball because then people can just go in a dime set, throw 13 cornerbacks out there and wait for you to make mistakes because it's going to happen. You got to be able to run the ball too, and losing RB1 and RB2 right
Hmm.
before we get cranked up is concerning. And I know that we're going to talk to our Texas friend in just a second, but you have to kind of wonder what is that going to look like for Texas's offense? Are they going to be able to stay away from being one dimensional? I'm sure that the guys that they got on the rostered good players. They wouldn't be playing at Texas if they weren't. But it is going to be interesting to see what that looks like going forward.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, once you start getting into the high numbers of the depth chart, that's never a good sign. So
No. And
further
how
down.
unfortunate for Texas, because Texas is the media darling right now to finish second
Yeah,
in the SEC.
right.
And to lose your starting running back a couple weeks before we crank up is just
And you
it's
want
a
to have
bad.
you want to throw different looks at running back as well, lightning, thunder, whatever you want to bring, just so the defense doesn't know what's coming at
Hmm.
them, and you're definitely more limited in that regard. Yeah, we'll see.